So seasonal affective disorder has hit me pretty much every year since I was a teenager. I lived in Seattle, and so seasonal affective disorder was kind of year round because it was, cloudy, rainy, nasty most of the time. Here, it actually is seasonal affective disorder because, fall and winter do not last all year, and usually in the spring and summer, and even, up until the last week or two, fall, I felt pretty good, but the weather has now turned. It's gotten cold. It's gotten dark. It's gotten rainy. You might even be able to hear in the audio. It's raining, and my drain, spout is making a lot of noise over there. I'm hoping this mic will block most of it out. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And, that is what it is. You'll still get my thoughts. But I wanted to talk about this in terms of, because a lot of times you'll hear Christians say, just ask God and he'll take away your depression, or you're depressed because you don't know God. If they're talking to somebody who's left the faith, or, somehow depression will be about you not trusting God or believing God or whatever. And, God's supposed to lift your depression and you just have to seek God and then he'll do it. And I'm going to call bullshit on that because for many, many years, while I was a Christian, while I was in church, I know I'm not going to find the right terminology to make y'all fucking happy, because somebody's going to be like, well, you were just in church, you weren't a real Christian, or you were just going through the motions of a Christian, you didn't really believe. I was a Christian. I did my very best to follow the teachings of Christ. I prayed, I sought him, I worshiped. I thought that I had a deep personal relationship with him. All of that stuff that Christians cling to so tightly. But this video is not about that. The point is, I'm getting sidetracked. I digress. Point being that even though I sought God and asked him to take away the depression, and, I had, my youth group week after week, pray for me that the spirit of depression would lift, all of that stuff. All of the buzzwords. I knew them all too. It didn't happen. And leaving the church, leaving the cycle of guilt and shame made a lot of the depression get better. But the seasonal affective disorder is still there. It's just the facts of life that seasonal affective disorder happens. And, I'm sure that there are medications that I could take to help it a little bit, but I was on antidepressants for a time as a teenager, and I really didn't like how they made me feel, how they kind of just leveled everything out. I didn't feel the highs, I didn't feel the lows, I didn't feel like myself, and I hated that. So I was not on them for more than maybe 2-3 months, something like that. But I'm not really into medications. I'm doing stuff like I'm taking the vitamin D. I'm trying to get enough sleep, although that's a whole nother story. That I'm not getting enough sleep. And you can probably see in my eyeballs that I just couldn't sleep last night. It happens to be the night before the election when I'm recording this. It's not going to go out for a little while. But there's a lot of stress around that. But the depression has been deep. The seasonal affective disorder depression has been really deep the past, week or so, with the weather being pretty gnarly. And it just kind of reminded me, and I wanted to talk about it. This is not a scripted video. It's something that I'm going to be paying attention to because, I don't want it to spiral me into crazy negativity, into not going out, into not doing things, into not being able to run my business, not being able to do work for the company that I'm doing a little bit of work for still. Did not end up being the long-term position I was hoping it would be. There was just too much chaos and stress, and it did not turn out to be the stable position that I really hoped that it would be. So I'm going to still be looking for other stable positions as they may or may not come up, but definitely hoping that there will be some kind of stable position in the nearer future rather than the far future. I'm getting used to this new lens where I've got a much wider field of view. Like, I love it. It's awesome, but it's just kind of interesting to get used to it. Right now I don't have a teleprompter set up because my teleprompter setup that I have does not work with this lens. So it's something that I may need a different teleprompter setup if I want to continue to do more scripted stuff, or I may just make bullet points and talk more free flow. Let me know. Do you prefer the videos where I seem to have literally like everything scripted out to a T? Or do you prefer the videos where I'm completely off script like this one? Or do you prefer something kind of in between where maybe I have bullet points and I hit certain things, but I'm talking a little bit more from the heart? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to leave this one here because it is such a rambling mess. But hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll be back next week with probably something a little bit more together.